welcome back. Just a few quick ones for you today. First one, a timely reminder for those of you who use laptop computers. Over the weekend I was using mine, probably used it for about 20, maybe 30 minutes to do something. At the end of it, I shut the laptop down, disconnected the charger unit from the socket, and this part of it here, the actual charger unit, was really quite hot to touch. And I mean very hot. I was actually quite surprised. What had happened was a pillow had landed on top of it. These units do create or generate a bit of heat, but with the pillow over the top of it, it had no air around it, so it couldn't be ventilated, and nowhere for the heat to dissipate. The problem there was if that had continued for a bit longer, maybe the chassis had started to melt, and then we might have had an electrical fire. Or maybe the pillow that was on, because the pillow itself had quite a hot spot on it, that may have caught fire spontaneously. Not a good situation. Now, the reason I mention that is because when we do offices and other environments, often we have to test and tag the laptop chargers, because a lot of workplaces now, instead of using desktop computers, use laptop chargers. They're very common. And when we get under the desk, we disconnect it so that we can do the test and tag. We find that maybe a box of files has been sitting on, or it's jammed behind something. And similar to what I just mentioned before, there's not enough air around it to dissipate the heat, and they can be quite hot. So a potential there for a fire in the workplace. Likewise, if you've got laptop computers at home, maybe in the kids' room or something, just be aware that those charger units do need plenty of ventilation, otherwise you may end up with a fire, and you don't want that. The other one is if you subscribe to our blog, testtagmelbourne.net, hopefully that's appearing somewhere on the screen down here. You'll notice that of late the number of recalls on electrical appliances has increased. Now, part of the problem for us here in Australia is that we're importing most of our electrical appliances from overseas, and one of those sources, quality control, probably isn't their strength. And the result is we're getting a lot of appliances coming into Australia at the moment that are really substandard, poor quality. And we're seeing what used to be maybe one recall on an electrical appliance maybe every 1 or 2 months. Now that is really scaling up at the moment. In fact, in the last week or so, last 10 days, there's been three, maybe 4. That's really quite an escalation, and we're seeing that even some brand name items, appliances, having recalls on them just for either being not compliant or there's been dangerous faults. In fact, one very well-known brand name, the little charger unit is prone to melting, and that's a real risk. So I'd suggest that if you're in charge of workplace safety in your workplace, you subscribe to our blog and keep up with it, because you need to. Those appliances need to be withdrawn from service and typically returned to the supplier for you. Really important. Unfortunately, it's an onerous task that you've got to keep up with it and get all those appliances out of the workplace. So how do you know what's a good one and what's a bad one? It's pretty hard these days. There's a lot of generic items coming in. You don't know. If you're unsure, maybe rely on the brand name, but still that's no great guarantee. In the meantime, what I'd be suggesting is just keep an eye out for those recalls and act on them as quickly as you can. So that's all I've got for you today. Take care, keep safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.